Ow!
In the 1990s, computers were first beginning to appear in homes across the world. Like television sets in the 1950s, computers were truly a brand new and exciting frontier for many people. However, for many other people, buying a computer came with a major learning curve. For people who started with computers before the 90s, they were used to using a command line interface as seen in operating systems like MS-DOS and PC-DOS. Most of the time, you weren't even using a mouse. Now, starting in the 1980s, the graphical user interface, aka the GUI, was starting to take shape in operating systems like Mac OS, which shipped with the original Macintosh in 1984, Amiga Workbench, and believe it or not, even Microsoft Windows, which made its debut in November of 1985. But still though, most people stuck to the command line interface due to the GUI still being in its infancy, and in fact in the 1980s most people didn't even own a computer to start with. So when the 1990s came around and the GUI started to become more and more mainstream, people who were used to the old-fashioned command line interface had to learn how to use a computer all over again. Not to mention the many people who had never owned a computer prior to this. In the world of Microsoft Windows, developers took note. While Windows 3.1's Program Manager was reasonably simple to use, it was still pretty cumbersome to use for many people. So software companies developed special shells to be used on top of Windows 3.1, such as Norton Desktop, and of course, Packard Bell Navigator. Even Microsoft themselves jumped into the ring with their own offering. In late 1994, Microsoft began development on a friendlier user interface to work on top of Windows 3.1, codenamed Utopia, a project that was led by Microsoft researcher Karen Fries. And on March 10, 1995, the product was released as Microsoft Bob. Unfortunately, Microsoft Bob soon became one of the worst product failures of all times. Even after being discontinued in early 1996, it continued to be severely criticized in reviews and popular media. But we're not here to discuss why it failed. We're going to take a look at what it was like. So you're probably wondering what it was like to use Microsoft Bob. Well, let's fire up my Windows 3.1 install on my Packard Bell Legend 822 CDT and find out. Like any other application of its day, Microsoft Bob is opened via the Windows Program Manager, leading to this cheesy splash screen. You are then introduced to Rover Retriever, who then prompts you to sign in or make a new account. Rover is one of the many assistants Microsoft Bob offers to you, which was a predecessor to the infamous Office Paperclip in later versions of Microsoft Office. After giving Rover your name, address, birthday, blood type, and name of your firstborn child, you are taken to the Microsoft Bob living room, which gives you access to several Bob-based applications. These applications include things such as a calendar, a clock, a financial assistant, a checkbook organizer, letter writer, household manager, an address book, and yes, even an email service. We'll start by looking at the Microsoft Bob calendar. Just like any other standard calendar software, this program gives you the ability to keep track of your appointments and events with a day, week, and month view, and even a to-do list. Here I am scheduling an event that happened 21 years ago because I can. Next up is the Microsoft Bob Household Manager, a program designed to help keep track of things such as your pets, your cars, collections, and your vacations. As you can see, all it mostly is, at least for the collection portion, is just a very basic spreadsheet program. Here I am making a small spreadsheet with info about some of my software collection. Then we have the Microsoft Bob Letter Writer, which is nothing more than a simple word processor that puts an emphasis on letter writing. Rover talks you through the process of setting up your letter, such as the address, fonts, clip art, and other miscellaneous settings. Merry Christmas, Jay! And here's the Microsoft Bob address book, which is, as you guessed, an address book. What, were you expecting the Microsoft Bob edition of Call of Duty? Anyway, as with all the other programs included, this is very basic stuff but with a cartoony look and feel. Merry Christmas, Chris. And rounding out our look at the programs, here's probably the most unique one of the bunch, Geo Safari. Remember those electronic Geo Safari games every elementary school classroom had in the 90s? Well, thanks to Microsoft Bob, you can now experience Geo Safari on your own home computer. Hank the Elephant guides you through this geography-based game of knowledge, such as this quiz on the names of the US states. I should probably do a separate Let's Play video of this game at some point. Or not. I really don't care. Why am I doing this?
Great.
Another main feature of Microsoft Bob was its options for customization, including multiple rooms. What you're looking at is the private study room that I created for myself, where I'm currently adding items to it. You can also add shortcuts to various Windows and DOS applications you have installed on your computer. Right here, I'm causing home-based environment inception by creating a shortcut to Packard Bell Navigator inside Microsoft Bob. Thankfully, this did not result in the apocalypse.
Welcome from Packard Bell. We offer you two computing environments to choose from, Packard Bell's Navigator or Microsoft Windows. You may also begin by taking a quick lesson on using the mouse.
And finally, what is considered by many to be the most important feature of Microsoft Bob is its built-in pyromania, allowing the user to set the entire living room on fire! Well, that was my quick little history and overview of Microsoft Bob, which, as I mentioned earlier, was unfortunately a commercial flop. And there were a lot of factors involving that, but I think one of the big things that really caused its downfall was the fact that people just didn't really want an environment like that. It was... What they were trying to do was make the graphical user interface a little too friendly, if you get what I'm saying. Because as fun and interesting as these home user interfaces were back in the day, like Microsoft Bob and Packard Bell Navigator, they were just too friendly. And when you think about it, the stuff like Program Manager wasn't really that difficult to learn. And heck, when Windows 95 came along, things were so much simpler. Of course, with Windows 95, you could still run Packard Bell Navigator or Microsoft Bob on it. In fact, as you are very well aware of, Packard Bells with Windows 95 made in 1995 and 1996, and a few in 97 as well, came with Packard Bell Navigator. But they were just a little too friendly, and people didn't like that, and they just became a flop, and they're just a part of history now. And you know, that's something I kind of want to talk to you guys about. Failure. Because, well, Microsoft Bob, it was a failure. This year, 2016, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of this, but this was probably one of the worst, if not the worst, years of my life. I've had a lot of tragedy this year, and a lot of goals that I made for myself just did not come to fruition. And it's been a very hard year for me. In fact, I'd hoped that it Christmas time things would improve, because they usually do when I'm having a bad time. But this year, December came and things actually didn't get better, they actually got worse. So I've been doing a lot of thinking about how, I've been through a lot of failure and letdowns this year. Just like how Microsoft Bob was a letdown to the computer world back in 1995. But the thing to remember is, everybody, and I mean everybody, even you, no offense, make mistakes. We all make little mistakes, and we all make big mistakes. And I've made a lot of them, of all sizes and all shapes. But now, at Christmas time, despite all our failures and our shortcomings, we need to just come together and reflect on what we can be happy for. I know I'm not the only one that's had a bad 2016. When I watch the news and whatnot, all I see is pain and despair in the world. Especially right now, after a pretty rough presidential election we had to deal with this year. And yes, things are very, very bleak looking. I won't be the first one to tell you that. But we're going to be okay, folks. We're going to be okay. Light will return. And I want you guys to remember one thing, and, this may offend some people, but but it's Christmas time. I feel like I really, really need to say this, and I need to quit rubbing this razor bump on my neck before I scream. Jesus is the reason for the season. And through Christ, all will be well. No matter who you are, where you come from, what you believe, God will keep us safe. Here it is, Christmas Day, and I know my nostalgic Christmas videos, I wanted to do a lot more this year, but it just really didn't happen this year. But that'll leave stuff for us to do next year, of course. And I'm thankful for what I was able to accomplish for this year's nostalgic Christmas. We sure did a lot more than we did last year. Yes, I know I went a little overboard with the Let's Plays, but a lot of people did enjoy them, and I sure enjoyed making them. I just love playing all these old computer games. So, I just want to tell everyone, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and here's to what will hopefully be a much better 2017. So, yes, this means one week from now, over here on the Packerville Legend 822 CDT, we will be ringing in 2017 with the ball drop from Times Square in New York, with the audio from Chris Rogers' Rock and Wave show. And this it's something I do every year, and I ain't gonna miss this year. And I hope you tune in and see that. So obviously, regular videos will resume again. That is when I'm able to. As you know, I'm still going through a lot of problems right now, so they will come when they come. So again, Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.